Welcome to the session on conflict. While many of us want to avoid conflict at all costs, some of us seem to enjoy it. Some of us find ourselves in the middle of it no matter what we do, and some of us feel like it follows us. In the next 10 minutes, we're going to examine conflict, purpose, our values, motivation, and transformation. In order to address conflict, I'm going to introduce you to a few friends of mine. First of all, I'd like you to meet Jeff. Jeff needs to get away from work and is driving to lunch. Believe it or not, he ran into someone that's texting and driving. Next, I'd like to introduce you to Jill. Jill is not the one that's texting, but she's still conflicted. Jill likes spicy chicken from Popeyes, so she asks Jeff to bring her something. Jeff, he doesn't care about all that stuff. Jeff likes Jill, and Jill likes spicy chicken from Popeyes. Jeff's motivation stems from a need. That need is going to affect or shape his behavior, and his future behavior is going to be shaped by consequences. Bad news. No more Popeyes. First traffic, then the Popeyes is gone or moved. Now what? When operating outside of our comfort zone, often because it's an unexpected area, an unexpected problem, our skills become diminished. Jeff has to make a split-second decision that could cause a problem. Jeff could be late for work, Jill might not get her chicken, and Jeff won't like Jill when she's angry. So when things don't go as we expect, our behavior, our communication can sometimes come across as a threat to other individuals. Rudeness, for example, even if it's not aimed at us, can derail a day, it can spoil a meal, it can ruin a good mood, it can hamper job performance. Rudeness makes us feel uncomfortable and conflicted. We don't want to be involved with rudeness, but we feel, even if it doesn't involve us, that we should be if we're witnessing it. So back to Jeff and Jill. Let's say Jeff finds a Popeyes, but now he's run into long lines. As it turns out, people can be so distressed by rudeness, they'll stop patronizing a business even if the rudeness isn't directed at them. To see how employee rudeness affects consumers, researchers set up an experiment in which volunteers were shown one of 3 videos. Well, people who saw the rude interaction generalized about the manager and the store, and the employees, and they're less likely to continue to come back to the store. They didn't want to give it any money. Most people want to avoid conflict, but we feel anxiety when we don't do anything. When we see rudeness, what we're seeing is an act of aggression. Rudeness can be traumatic for those on the receiving end of it, but it can also be traumatic for those that are witnessing it. I feel empathy. I don't want to see anyone being rude. My feelings of empathy are going to run up against my feelings of avoiding conflict. So whether Jeff runs into traffic, long lines, almost cooked chicken, now he's got an unexpected situation to deal with. A situation that might cause problems with Jill, his job, or Jill's love of Popeyes. So why not stay at home or at work? Why not bring your lunch? Well, there's benefits to dealing with conflict. First of all, increased effort, enhanced communication, opportunities to improve, better decision making, key issues are surfaced, and enhanced critical thinking. So if I try harder, that's a benefit. Someone screaming at me, that's enhanced communication. Well, something that's challenging also feels rewarding. If Jeff runs out, gets great chicken, makes it back in time, and Jill's happy, he's going to feel good about it all day. But when I'm outside of my comfort zone, I'm more likely to make mistakes. I might end up screaming, but I'm still communicating my dislike, unhappiness, and my desire to continue to talk about it. So when Popeyes has long lines, they learn to adapt, they learn to serve chicken when there's short lines, they learn to serve chicken when there's long lines. When customers complain, with Popeyes, that's an opportunity for them to improve. Without customers, there's no line, there's no opportunity to serve chicken, there's no opportunity to improve chicken. Trial and error bring out options and opportunities. Problems get communicated, alternatives are examined and brought to light. It also brings new enhanced way of doing things. So conflict or challenges can be a golden opportunity. Let's take a look at our motivational values. According to Elias Porter, we all have a desire to direct, nurture, or assure. People who value direction focus on the task, the resources, and results. They just do it. People who value nurturing focus on the protection, growth, welfare of others. They know that you can't do it alone. People who value analysis focus on the process, order, and self-dependence. So now let's look at how we get the stages of conflict, or our conflict sequence. In the first stage of conflict, we're focused on ourselves, the problem, and others. In the second stage of conflict, I'm focused on myself and the problem. I am no longer focused on others. And in the third stage, I'm focused strictly on myself. The problem in the third stage is not even important to me. So when we enter into conflict, we discover what's important to us and what causes that conflict. So in stage one, when I'm focused on myself, the problem, and others, I might just rise to the challenge, I might be accommodating, I might be prudently cautious. In this stage, people, the problem, and my agenda are important to me. This may be something as minor as someone that gave you a questionable smile, someone that asked about processes or practices, or something that just didn't go right. In this stage, individuals are aware of the problem. Communication has begun and an opportunity to improve has presented itself. So, okay, you couldn't do it. The customers, that employee, they should know better. And they drove you to, well, you're not so pleasant side. So in stage two, the others are not important to me. What's only important to me is myself and the problem. So you don't believe it. I've been in conflict before, and I don't believe what you're saying. Well, let's look at a few external factors that are going to affect your reaction to events and your conflict sequence. First of all, I'm going to react differently to my boss. I'm going to react differently to my friend. I'm going to react differently based on my age, my gender, or the way I was brought up. So if it's my friend, my mother, or my boss, I might take a few more minutes before I blow a fuse. I might not eliminate them before I eliminate the problem. I may be willing to concede on the problem if it's my boss. Let's take a look at negotiation. Negotiation is one way of dealing with challenges or differences of opinion. Everyone can be a negotiator. So we're going to look at negotiating style, emotions, interests, and options. Hard negotiators. They can see their situation as a contest of wills. But hard negotiators cause the other party to develop the same style, and it can create hard feelings or damage a relationship. Soft negotiators, on the other hand, they want an agreeable situation without conflict. So they may make concessions and end up feeling exploited, unhappy, resentful. Second, let's look at emotions. People are going to perceive an event differently. They may miscommunicate, and these factors are going to get entangled with the objective facts when dealing with negotiations. But in organizations, it's important to maintain a relationship with my customer and the employees. You can alter perceptions when you view the negotiation from the other party's perspective. Avoid finger pointing, emphasize the areas you agree on, and make proposals consistent with values. In order to handle emotions, you should acknowledge their importance, try and understand the source, allow others to let off steam, don't respond to outbursts, and try making symbolic gestures of friendship. Next, let's look at interests. Each party in a negotiation has specific interests they want to achieve. These interests are going to reflect their needs, desires, concerns, fears. These are the basis for their bargaining positions, and they have to be addressed in order to conclude the negotiation. Some interests may be compatible and some may be conflicting, but they need to be identified to facilitate useful negotiation. These interests must be met to some degree in order to conclude the negotiation. Focusing on the future and having concrete options you can agree with while being flexible also helps avoid digging in. These behaviors are going to keep the discussion fixed on satisfying both parties' interests. So let's look at developing options. People rarely develop options when they enter a negotiation. This causes them to dig into their specific positions and show little creativity. Developing options requires brainstorming with colleagues or friends to produce ideas that might be used as options later. Exploring those options with the other party while you're in the negotiation involves you both trying to satisfy each other's interests.